Hi everyone, Stan here at J&D Gardens. If you're a new viewer, welcome. Please support the channel by planting that subscribe button. And if you're already a viewer, welcome back. Well, we got a great video for you today. In the past, we've shown you how to save your canna lily rhizomes over the winter so you have them ready for the spring. And that usually has to do with storing them away in boxes with some kind of packing material. Now, we did something a little different this year, and it really worked out well for us, and we're actually really interested in showing it to you, so stick around. Welcome back. So the way we've always saved our canna lily rhizomes over the winter was that we would store them away in things like cardboard boxes and pack them with materials like peat moss or pine shavings. Usually pine shavings. We find that that was less messy than peat moss. And the reason is that we would always check on them. Like what we do is we pack them away, and then about every 2 weeks or so, we would take a look at our rhizomes and make sure they were okay, make sure they weren't rotting, make sure they cured right, they were going dormant well, and if they were getting too dry, we would spritz them with water because, you know, you don't want to dry out. You don't want your canna to dry it over those winter months. And that always worked out well for us. But as J&D Gardens grew and we had so many different rhizomes, we started selling them on our Etsy site. So every time we would get orders, we'd have to pull out the boxes, open them up, find the right rhizomes, and get them ready to send out. And that became a real big pain. Well, it happens about 2 years ago. We were packing away our rhizomes. I remember it was cold, so we were working in the garage. We had buckets everywhere, crates and buckets everywhere, getting ready to pan boxes, all kinds of materials everywhere, getting it all ready. And by mistake, I guess, actually, we left I think it was a water bucket of some rhizomes. I think they were sunburst or something. We kept them on the side. I had them right by my table saw, and I kind of forgot about them. We packed all the other ones perfectly, put them away, and we were fine. A couple of months later, sometime in January, I was in the garage, and I found the bucket on the side, and I was wondering, so I take a look at it, and I'm like, oh my God. We forgot one of the rhizomes. And like I said, I think it was sunburst. But to our surprise, they were in perfect shape. They were actually doing well. It started sprouting a little bit of eyes. And we hadn't given it any water or anything. And our garage is heated, but we usually keep it around 45, maybe 50 degrees, depending maybe when we start our seed starting tray. But generally, it's pretty cool there, and especially low on the ground, all the air coming through the garage door or whatever have you. It's pretty cool. And it actually preserved them so well. So we were really happy, and we were just like, wow, well, thank God we didn't lose that particular plant. And we thought to ourselves, oh, well, you know, this is something we should kind of look at. Now, storing away your rhizomes somewhere cool is nothing new. A lot of people do that. If you have basements, what a lot of people do is they put them in boxes or bags and put them in the corner. As long as it's not too damp there or too cold where they'll freeze, you should be fine. Now, unfortunately, here, our house, we actually don't have a basement, so we had to rely on our garage. So what we did is we went out and got a bunch of crates like these. These are, let me show you. They're pretty cool. It's a collapsible crate, so when we're not using them, we can store them away. But when we do need them, they open up. And I've seen these used a lot in produce. Farms use them, and even stores when they're bringing their produce out. What's really cool about it is, obviously, they're made of plastic, very sturdy. You can hose them down. They have a great place to put a name of whatever. These are South Pacific orange. And the real best part is that they have holes everywhere. It's kind of like almost like aerated. Holes in the bottom, holes on the sides, on each side. So it's great. So it actually saved us a step. Now, when you get your canna lilies out from the ground, you clean them up, you're going to want to put them on a shelf and let them dry out a little bit because you don't want to put them away because they'll start to rot. Well, what saved us a big step is that as soon as we clean them off, we'd load it up really heavy, and you can also stack these, and then we'd leave them in the garage and they'd start drying out while they were being stored, which was really awesome, saved us a big step. And it worked out really well. And we would check on them, turn them, make sure that they weren't rotting in case there was some areas. Worked out really well for us. And so let me put this away here. So what we did is the year before, we stored them all in our garage, and we had tons of them. I think we have about 50 of these crates, and we used them all. We have over 50 varieties, and some we had more, so we just had to keep stacking them up. So we have all these crates. I think we stacked them about 10 high or so on dolly, and we put them on dolly so we can move them around because we had to get through to some of the tools in the garage throughout the winter months. And really worked out well for us. We were really happy. So this past year, we actually wanted to reclaim our garage because having 50 of these crates in our garage was just taking up too much room. We couldn't get to anything. So what we decided to do is to find somewhere else on the property to store them. Now, I'm here in our backyard, and I have this great old shed that I've had. I've had it since I've moved here. It's been it's like 20 years old. I've knocked it down and rebuilt it about a dozen times in different parts of the property. And this past year, I was actually looking to get rid of it because I really didn't need it anymore. So I remember us cleaning it up. We were gonna set it up in our driveway, set it up and sell it on Facebook Marketplace. So we never got around to it. Then the fall started coming around. It was packed away on the side, and we were like, whatever. And I thought to myself, okay, you know what? Why don't we try this? What I'm going to do is I'm going to build a shed, and I'm going to try to insulate it as best as I can, set it all up, and see if we can store the rhizomes over the winter and see how that worked for us. And it actually worked out really great. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the camera closer, and I'm going to show you how we did it. All right, so the first thing that I did is I built a wood platform out of pallets, skids, whatever you want to call them, to keep it off the ground so that, the coldness from the pavers, because these are on pavers, wouldn't come up through the floor of the shed, and also to hopefully keep any critters outdoor in winter. And thank God it did, and nothing got in there. Now, I'm going to show you what I did inside, and bear with me. This is the first year we're doing it, so it's not as refined as you usually see me do things here at J&D, but it worked out well, and next year it'll be a lot tighter. So let me open up here. Oh, and by the way, these woods right here, these are just like a ramp platform because I said I have a bunch of these on dollies, and it's easier for Jackie and I to roll up here. So it's just, like I said, makeshift. Next year it'll be a lot better. So the first thing I did, as you see, as I opened up the door, I lined all the walls with this insulation. And let me see, you can get this at Home Depot. It's a double reflective insulation, and it's perfect. It's thin, but it works really, really well. And it helped store a lot of the heat in there. And I added this Velcro in here, and it was great. And acted like an extra door. So any wind that would come here through the doors, the insulation will help it. So it's going to get a little tight in here, but bring it around and I'll show you. Okay. Oh, watch your step here. Okay, let me turn on. One of the things I did is I added a light, just so I can work in it. And as you can see, I have these crates. Well, it's tight in here. It's only a 6x8 and 6x8 shed, but it worked out really well. So I have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 or so stacked up a little higher on this side. And as I told you, they're on dollies, so it allowed us to move them. So whenever we had to check on them or we get orders, we could roll it down the ramp, take it over to the garage, and no problems. And the insulation obviously wasn't going to be the only thing. I had to make sure it had some kind of heat source. So like I said, this is very basic this year, but it worked out great. I have this little radiator, and I think Jackie used to use it under her desk at work, and it was fine. I actually have it on a very low setting, and I have it on a timer here. So at night, every night, it would turn on, and it would radiate enough heat to keep this around 40, 45 degrees, just so it didn't freeze, and it was fine. And I wasn't wasting too much electricity. Now, it was great over the nights because we had some cold nights. Now, during the day, sometimes the sun would, even when it was cold, the sun would start beating in on this, and it would get really hot in here. So you've probably seen, I've done this in some of my other videos. I have these in my greenhouse. I added a vent so that if it gets too hot in here, it sucked all the air out, and it was perfect. And this is a great unit. It's from AC Infinity. And what I did is I just, since I didn't really care about the shed anymore, I just cut a simple hole. This is the side panel of the shed. It's pretty thick. It's about 3/4 of an inch, so it has some insulation value. And just added the vent in there, and it works out great. This is a really cool unit because it has, I can adjust, has all kinds of adjustments. I can tell it when I want it to exhaust, when I want it to turn off. And it actually has an app, so it would tell me if it was getting too hot or too cold in here, and I could always check on it. It's a really cool unit. I think what I'll do when I start taking it out, I'll do a review on it. But if you need it for like a small hobby greenhouse, or not even that small, you can use it. It has a couple of different sizes. This is the smallest one. We have the biggest ones in our greenhouse. I have 2 of these, and it's really easy to do. You can just kind of set it up, have the temperature gauge and everything. So anyway, so I ran an extension cord, real simple, literally the yellow extension cord, heavy duty, running on a 20 amp circuit here, and it powered everything up, didn't have a problem. I even have a fan here in the bottom, though when it started getting cooler, it would turn on every so on just to keep the air circulating. And let me just kind of show you how well everything worked out. And I got a bunch of them in here. We've already taken a bunch out because we started growing. Like I said, I got an Omega. Whoop, oh yeah, I got Omega here, and look at these rhizomes. They just look perfect, beautiful, still healthy. I didn't even have to really water them that much. Every now and then we would do that, but they just turned out great. What do I have over here? I have these are Musafiliola, and some dirt on it. I mean, look at the eyes. Look at that, and just. If you can see that, they look great. The purple in it looks really, really, really happy with the way this turned out. What else do we got here? We have Omega with a crowd pleaser. I mean, the rhizomes, just absolutely beautiful. And yeah, so as you can see, it's just so much easier to store something like this. And like I said, if I had a basement, it would be great. But being that we don't, this worked out so well for us. And now spring is here. We're planting the rhizomes. We're finishing selling off the rest of these. What I can do is I can knock this shed down. It comes apart really easy, and get ready and store it away somewhere. So we have the space during the summer, and come the fall again, I can set it up and get it ready for next year. So there you go. Our interesting way of how we stored our rhizomes over the winter. Now, I know a lot of you aren't going to have as many rhizomes as we do. Here at J&D, we grow over 100 cannas, so you can imagine how many rhizomes we have. What we showed you in here isn't even half of them. This was really loaded up even more. But if you don't have a basement and you need a place to store your rhizome, then you do have some kind of shed or in your garage, could be something you can look at. And it just saved us so much time this year, not having to pack them away in the pine shavings. It was incredible. We actually got to enjoy our winter, and because checking on them, we could come out here and just check on them, come out with a bottle of water, spritz them, and it was just great. And then, as he said, as we were getting orders ready, it was just so much easier to grab the best ones and send them off. So we are. This worked out so well for us this year, so we're definitely going to be doing it next year. And in the fall, when we're getting ready, we'll do the whole setup. And we're actually going to be lovingly calling this Fort Rhizome. Maybe next year we'll have a sign calling it that. It's going to be a lot of fun. And we'll show you step by step, setting up the fan and the heater and all that good stuff. So I think if you grow enough of them, and maybe you have a smaller shed, it doesn't have to be something like this. It might be something you want to do, is save you a ton of room inside your home. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something. If you have any questions, all things Canna, not just your rhizomes, please feel free to reach out to us. We'd absolutely love to hear from you. And be sure to hit like and subscribe and ring that bell. So from all of us here at J&D Gardens, till next time, remember, yes, we canna.